One thing that's been on my mind recently is the whole idea of Pokemon HMs. They're so iconic to the franchise, yet they're so flawed as a game mechanic. So naturally I want to figure out a way to improve them today. Today's video will be focused on my criticisms of the HM system from Pokemon and how I think it should be improved going forward. And I'll devise a brand new system and kind of apply examples to my fan region, Orova, so you can visualize how they'd work. So that means this is officially part of the Pokémon Carbon and Silicon canon. If you're following that video series, that is. But enough self-promotion. Let's figure out a way to fix the HM system once and for all. To begin, I think it's important to get an understanding of how HMs have historically been implemented into the franchise to see some issues with them. A fellow PokeTuber, Umbreon Libris, has a fantastic video where he explains most of these problems in much more depth than I plan to today. I'll link that one below so you can check it out. But in short, HMs at the outset of the franchise existed as undeletable moves that essentially needed to be wasted on a potential move slot, and they were also pretty much required to progress through the game. Most of them were pretty bad in battle, to the point where many players embraced the idea of a designated HM slave, a Pokemon that you needed on your team at all times in HM heavy areas that didn't see the light of battle even once, because their movesets were so bad. Generations 5 and 6 eased up on this by making way less HMs required for their games, essentially just strength and surf. However, this didn't remedy the fundamental flaws of this game mechanic. Then moving on, recent generations 7 and 8 went the complete opposite direction and wiped out HMs entirely in favor of item usage. In Alola, a ride pager could be used to call a species of Pokemon that wasn't yours, to magically show up and clear the obstacle for you, or provide quick transportation with just a button press. And in Galar, surfing was eliminated in favor of the aquatic bike item, and flying was removed for Corviknight taxis to take its place. Generation 6's Kalos had a similar well-intentioned but also flawed mechanic called Ride Pokemon, where you can mount a random Pokemon found on rugged terrain for free passage. So it's really just a spectrum of flaws. We can see that the earlier generations offered too much tedium at the expense of assembling a team of fighters that you actually wanted on your team, something that should be a core value of the franchise. And the later generations offered something too easy and unearned. While it was nice no longer needing field moves as, well, moves, it was too cartoony, too convenient to just have a random Pokemon show up and do something for you, especially since these Pokemon weren't your own. So it removed choice and strategy from the player while also failing to provide a meaningful, tangible bond with your own Pokemon, something else that should also be a core value of the franchise. So today's essential question is this: how do we merge these two concepts of the past to meet in the middle? My proposal is this: field abilities. A brand new mechanic that serves as my solution to both HMs and Ride Pokemon, as well as something that you can consider implemented going forward for Pokemon Carbon and Silicon again, link below for that entire series so you can follow along. But anyway, let's talk about field abilities. This mechanic would essentially be another quantitative attribute given to every single Pokemon in the game, everyone from starters to legendaries. Basically, these would be replacements for HMs as moves, and Ride Pagers as items, since these would be powers that Pokemon could perform outside of the context of battle. So that solves the wasted move slot problem from earlier generations. However, you'd have to use these abilities with your own Pokemon, not rentals, so that removes issues from later generations. Basically, how it would work would be any overworld problem you encounter, you can go to your party and select one of your Pokemon to use an applicable field ability, which would then show an animation of your Pokemon performing the action in the overworld. These abilities would be unlocked as you progress through the game by beating gym leaders and talking to characters and whatnot, and these could be accessed by a much larger field of Pokemon than HMs were. I always found it ridiculous that Cut, for example, had to be taught like a move to Pokemon with the innate ability to cut down small trees, or that you could only fly by teaching it to an avian Pokemon that literally used its wings to survive in the wild. Here's the full list of field abilities that I have in mind, at least for now. If you'd want to cross a body of water, you could use Navigator, which could be used by most water-type Pokemon or Pokemon that live by swimming. If you want to clear a path of bushes or small trees, you could use Pathfinder, which could be used by most fighting or bug types. Basically, Pokemon with the ability to chop, either with their fists or with scythes. If you want to destroy or move rocks, basically a replacement for both Strength and Rock Smash, you could use Architect, which could be used by most ground, steel, fighting, or rock Pokemon. If you wanted to fly to new towns or landmarks just like Fly, you could use Aviator, which could be used by most flying Pokemon. And if you wanted to find hidden items, basically a replacement for the dowsing machine, you could use Forager, which could be used by most canine or feline Pokemon, along with Pokemon that previously had the pickup ability. So those are the main ideas that I have for new field abilities. If you have others, please let me know down below. And I know I'm not discussing a lot of water-based ones like solutions for dive, whirlpool, or waterfall, but for all intents and purposes of this mechanic, I think they could all be solved by the navigator field ability. But if you're following along with Pokemon Carbon and Silicon, I also have another mechanic in mind that would vastly flesh out and improve water areas, like diving for sunken treasure and crossing deep sea trenches, so stay tuned for that. But back to these field abilities. Basically, when you view your own Pokemon in the menu, Pokedex, or any other place like that, you'd be able to view the possible field abilities that they'd have. Some could have 2 or 3 even. These would be versatile Pokemon that in past games might have been considered HM slaves, and some just wouldn't have any, since they wouldn't logically be able to perform these tasks, unfortunately. And since this would be another data point shown in the party menu, from the minute you catch a new Pokemon, the game will just tell you what field abilities it will be able to use at some point, either upon evolution or at a future point in the game. For example, if you catch a Rockruff in the volcano area, you'd know that you'd be able to rely on this Pokemon for both Forager and Architect at various points in the game. Or if you catch a Swanna, you'd know right away that this bird could serve both as a navigator and aviator for you eventually. You would have to be strategic in the sense that you need a certain type of Pokemon to advance, and you would have to build up your team to accommodate that. But since these are not moves, and a much wider variety of Pokemon can have access to these field abilities, you'd be able to use Pokemon that you'd want to use. No longer are you just stuck with a Bibarel for strength and surf, now you have your very own Dreadnought for both Navigator and Architect, that could perform both of these things for you at no expense to its battle prowess. I think this would be a good compromise, since you would need your own Pokemon to fully clear areas or explore them, boosting immersion and bonds that the franchise needs, like I mentioned. It would also be neat having another innate statistic to keep track of, like I mentioned. This would just be another thing, alongside moves, regular abilities, EVs, IVs, and so much more. It would just boost the uniqueness of each and every Pokemon. However, I think there should be some limitations to even things out, and impose a little bit more strategy and difficulty for the player. So instead I propose just one small limitation: friendship. That's right, I think it would be nice if these abilities weren't just unlimited use freebies like the Ride Pager. I think it'd be good if your Pokemon's range on distance for surfing, or if the number of rocks that could smash without recharging were dictated by its friendship stat. Basically, high friendship would give you more usage for any given field ability. Think about it. You want to traverse a deep cavern, like Victory Road. To do that, you'll need a high friendship Pokemon that's been with you your whole journey that you can count on to smash a near unlimited number of rocks, because there will be a lot in Victory Road. You can't just catch a random Lairon right then and there, and expect them to have unlimited power for you. This would be fine in the early game where you could just catch a random Roggenrola to do a single task in a beginner dungeon, but in the late game you'll need to purposely take the time to craft a team of favorites that also have access to a wide range of field abilities, so they could perform repeated tasks for you, because their friendship stat would just be so high, reflecting their bond with you as a trainer. Overall, I think this would vastly improve the HM and Ride Pokemon situation that the franchise has never really seemed to figure out. It would also enrich and shake up a game mechanic that this RPG series could vastly stand to improve, so let me know what you think. What thoughts or ideas do you have on field abilities? Let me know down below. And also be sure to join the Tam Valley Discord if you want to submit ideas for future videos, or if you want to follow along with the Pokemon Carbon and Silicon project. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time for more content.